Friends, gather round, for we must delve into the chaotic world of international trade where things have gotten a tad explosive. Picture this. President Trump, a man who seemingly enjoys economic standoffs as much as a seagull enjoys a discarded hot dog, has slapped a hefty 25% tariff on European cars and car parts. Yes, you heard that right, 25%. Not a temporary tantrum, mind you, but a permanent fixture. This, my friends, is what we call a trade war, and it's about as fun as it sounds. Now you might be thinking, John, why should I care about tariffs on fancy European cars? I drive a 1998 Honda Civic that runs on hopes and dreams. Well, buckle up, because this trade skirmish has implications that reach far beyond luxury vehicles. This is about global economies, jobs, and yes, even the price of that questionable gas station sushi you're so fond of. This tariff, my friends, is like a wrench thrown into the well-oiled machine of global trade. It's designed to make European cars more expensive in the US, theoretically boosting American car sales. But like most things in life, it's not that simple. See, this move has angered our friends across the pond, and they're not known for their passive-aggressive potlucks. They're talking retaliation, tariffs of their own, and suddenly that dream of owning a Peugeot is looking as likely as finding a unicorn riding a Segway. The reaction from European leaders to Trump's tariff announcement was about as subtle as a vuvuzela in a library. French President Macron, never one to mince words, reportedly told Trump that the tariffs were a colossal mistake, a sentiment echoed by German Chancellor Scholz, who predicted economic losses for everyone involved. German Economy Minister Habeck, meanwhile, stressed the need for a decisive response from the EU, which, knowing the EU, will likely involve a strongly worded letter and a 3-hour lunch break. The concern, you see, goes far beyond just car sales. European leaders are worried about the impact on their economies as a whole. See, these tariffs have a nasty habit of creating ripple effects. They can disrupt supply chains, making it more expensive to produce goods on both sides of the Atlantic. And when production costs rise, guess what happens? That's right, prices go up. And suddenly, that dream of a vacation to Disneyland is replaced with a staycation at your local discount motel. This isn't just a theoretical concern either. The stock market, that fickle beast, reacted to the news like a cat to a bath, with shares of automakers and parts manufacturers plummeting faster than a pigeon trying to avoid a rogue baguette. Clearly, investors are about as thrilled with this trade war as a vegan at a sausage fest. Now, let's talk about the German auto industry, shall we? Germany, the land of beer, pretzels, and really well-engineered cars, is staring down the barrel of this tariff gun. German automakers, particularly giants like BMW, Mercedes-Benz, and Volkswagen, are major exporters to the US. We're talking big numbers here, folks, the kind that make your eyes water if you stare at them for too long. These companies rely heavily on the American market, and this tariff is about as welcome as a flat tire on the Autobahn. BMW, bless their optimistic souls, has called for a transatlantic deal to avert a full-blown trade war. They're basically waving a white flag and saying, can't we all just get along and share a beer and some bratwurst? Ferrari, on the other hand, has taken a slightly different approach, announcing price increases of up to 10% to offset the tariff costs. So, if you were thinking about buying a new Ferrari, you might want to start looking for loose change under the couch cushions. The European Automobile Manufacturers Association and the German lobby group VDA, meanwhile, are busy penning strongly worded letters and issuing dire warnings about the impact on global trade, jobs, and consumer prices. They're basically the economic equivalent of that friend who tells you to be careful every time you leave the house. And you know what? They're probably right to be worried. The tremors from Trump's tariff earthquake are being felt far and wide. This isn't just a spat between the US and Europe. It's a global trade issue with the potential to shake the very foundations of the global economy. See, when two economic titans like the US and the EU start throwing tariffs at each other, it creates uncertainty and instability in the global market. Businesses become hesitant to invest, consumers tighten their belts, and suddenly, that new pair of shoes feels like an extravagant purchase. The truth is, folks, nobody wins in a trade war. These tariffs might be designed to protect American jobs, but they could very well end up costing jobs on both sides of the Atlantic. And for what? A slightly cheaper Ford Focus? A few more dollars in the pockets of American automakers? It seems like a high price to pay for a victory that might not even materialize. So what's the solution? Well, it's complicated, as most things involving international diplomacy and economics tend to be, but one thing's for sure: slapping tariffs on each other is about as effective as trying to put out a fire with gasoline. What we need is dialogue, cooperation, and a willingness to find common ground. Otherwise, we risk setting off a chain reaction that could send the global economy tumbling like a Jenga tower after one too many beers. And trust me, nobody wants to clean up that mess.